London, 1666. To the outside world, it was the capital of a booming empire. The River Thames teemed with ships carrying gold, spices, and silk. The massive spire of old St. Paul's Cathedral dominated the skyline, a symbol of God's protection. But beneath the grandeur, a trap was set. The city was a suffocating maze of medieval timber, coated in black pitch and tar to keep out the rain. But there had been no rain. A 10-month drought had turned the wood into bone-dry tinder. Houses leaned so close together they blotted out the sun, creating wind tunnels ready to feed a firestorm. London wasn't just a home. It was a weapon waiting to go off. Sunday, September 2nd, 2 a.m., Pudding Lane. While the city slept, a tragedy began in the bakery of Thomas Farriner, the king's own baker. He believed his ovens were cold. He was wrong. A single glowing ember rolled onto a pile of dry kindling. Within minutes, the room was filled with choking smoke. Farriner and his family barely escaped with their lives, climbing out an upstairs window and crawling across the rooftops to safety. They left behind their maid, who became the first victim, and they left behind a fire that was just beginning to breathe. By Sunday afternoon, the fire had evolved. It reached the riverside warehouses on the Thames, buildings packed to the ceiling with oil, spirits, tallow, and coal. The heat was so intense, it didn't just burn, it exploded. Then, the weather turned against the city. A violent easterly gale picked up, driving the flames horizontally through the streets. Mayor Thomas Bloodworth was called to the scene. Staring at the burning district, he laughed and famously dismissed it, saying, "Pish, a woman might put it out." He went back to bed. That moment of arrogance sealed London's fate. Monday, the panic begins. The streets are jammed with carts as 70,000 people try to flee the same narrow gates. The sky turns a terrifying red, visible for 40 miles. The noise is deafening. The roar of the wind, the cracking of timber, and the screams of a city losing its mind. There is no water pressure. The buckets are useless. The fire is eating the city alive. Tuesday, the unthinkable happens. The massive stone walls of old St. Paul's Cathedral were supposed to be safe. People hid their treasures inside, but the wooden scaffolding catches fire. The heat becomes so intense that the lead roof melts. Molten metal flows down the streets like a river of silver lava. The stones explode like grenades. The heart of London collapses. Wednesday. Desperate times called for brutal measures. King Charles II realized that water buckets were useless against a firestorm. He ordered the Royal Navy to enter the city, not to fight with water, but with gunpowder. Soldiers rolled barrels of explosives into the streets. They began blowing up entire blocks of houses before the fire could reach them. The explosions rocked the ground like an earthquake, terrifying the survivors. But the strategy worked. By creating a gap of rubble, they starved the fire of its fuel. Slowly, the roar began to fade. Thursday morning. The sun rose over a wasteland. The ground was so hot it burnt the soles of shoes for days. The silence was haunting. 85% of London was erased. 13,000 houses turned to ash. 87 churches destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of people lived in makeshift tents in the fields, looking back at the smoking skeleton of their home. The medieval city was gone forever. But from these ashes, a new London would rise, built not of wood and pitch, but of white stone and brick. London survived the fire, but the city we know today was born in the flames.